and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. We are currently here at Badminton Grassroots 2025 in the start box and about to head out on a famous Cameron Beers course walk.
Well, we'll try and make it exciting.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited. So you've already walked the course once briefly.
Very briefly, just had a little look around. Obviously have been on the CrossCountry app and had looked at the photos beforehand as well. So I'm super excited to be working with CrossCountry app for this video, who map courses all around the world, and you guys can get a pro subscription, which then you can see your minute markers, you can download, edit your courses, and I will be using it today with everything that you say as we're walking around. I'll be going, right, in my comments, let's write it down.
And actually, I remember we were chatting the other day about the comment section, because I use the app all the time and find it absolutely amazing. Great, especially when we're doing long format competitions, 2-3 star longs, when you're looking for those minute markers, and it's so important. But you said there's an option to write down at each fence.
Yep, you can add in your own comments. So when I go, just before I'm about to go out, and you said that you do the same,
yeah,
I sit down and I go through all the photos and all of my comments to know and like visualize exactly what I need to be going out of the start box and doing, and yeah, writing comments, how many strides I'm aiming for, where I need to be careful of ground or something like that, and I just absolutely love it. And I have done, when I was back here 8 years ago, I can still remember now looking through the course pictures. Like, that is how long I've used the app. I absolutely love it.
And obviously a lot of places the internet's bad, so you can pre-download the course.
You can indeed.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
I'm getting with it nowadays. And you can have a little look before you even arrive at the venue, which is brilliant, and some people like to be able to see what they've got to jump in the next couple of days. Well, the reason I wanted to start at the start box rather than starting at fence 1 is I think at Badminton Grassroots, obviously the start box is a super important area because you're going to be a little bit more nervous than normal. So actually, with now the fact we have the app on our phone, what I want to advise, you need to have a friend down here at the start who is not going to say anything to you, but has got the app there ready. And when you quickly go, God, what was fence 6?
Yeah,
they can then say to you,
idea.
It's the wagon, or it's the log, or you go, remind me again, how many strides between fences 6A and B, and then they can go onto your notes and say, and I think they don't need to say to you, do you know your minute markers? But if you want to quickly say to them, oh, where was minute 2 again?
Can you just double check this? Am I right with this thinking?
Exactly. So I think it's important that your friend down here has got your phone ready with all those things on, just to give you that last minute bit of advice.
Absolutely.
Only if you ask for it though. It's super important. You don't want your friend to be jumping in and telling you something when you're in the zone, but ready to give it to you if prompted.
If needed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to get started. I've had a little look on the CrossCountry app. I think it looks like a brilliant course. I'm ready to go and have a little walk. But yeah, start box, super important area. You've got to have a friend down here, and you've got to make sure in the warm-up area you've got a bottle of water for yourself, maybe a little bit of water for her, just in case there's suddenly a hold-on course.
Yes.
Got to make sure you've got that. If you can have some spare studs down with you, just in case before you go. It's more important perhaps when you're going around in muddy conditions. But your friend might quickly say, oh, you've lost a stud in front, and you can quickly just put another one back in. So it's just important to have that support system down here at the start box. Just in case
quite often thinks that you need it all at the finish, don't you? But actually the start is just as important.
Totally. And actually where we are here, you know, yes, they might miss your round, but if they come here, they can walk quickly to the finish and help you there as well.
Or run over there.
Yeah, it'll run over there, exactly that, on a fancy bike maybe as well. Yes. Cool, right, I'm appreciative that I could ramble all day. So, and this vlog doesn't want to be 2 hours long, so let's head on to fence 1 and let's have a little look.
We're nice and straight.
Yeah, good. So as we know, really important, I say in all the course walks, to come out of the start box in a strong positive gear. You want them pulling you to fence 1, you put them to the bridle, but it isn't a flat out cross-country gear. Okay, you've got a long distance here, so you can come out strong enough, but then you want to just settle and think, I'm going to show jump this in a nice frame, in a nice shape. You don't want to come out like a bat out of hell, lose a life over it, and then be going, oh God, sorry, Addie. So super important you come out with them really in the bridle, and they're taking you, but you're in a gear that's just a bit more than show jumping. Okay, once you get over number 1, then ride away, and then we're cross country.
Okay.
The other really important thing about all of these early fences, and it's saying I do at every single level, whether I'm on a young horse or an older horse, is I pick a point on them. Okay, I think we've discussed this in previous course walks, exactly that, yes. I'm going to pick this coming in and then draw my eye up, and I'm going to be really strict that the line I have coming in is the line I have over, is the line I have out.
Yeah.
If straight away I start to notice, well, I started here, but I finished to the right or left of it, then that's giving me information for the course coming up saying my horse doesn't normally drift right or left, but today they are.
Yeah.
So then when there's a skinny coming up at, I don't know, fence 4 or 5, you're already aware, okay, today they're drifting right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they've got a little bit anxious and stressed, and where they sometimes drift right, they're now using that to really drift right, where they've got a little bit nervous,
Yeah.
okay? So it's up to you then go, okay, goodness, right over the next few plain fences, I'm going to really close that shoulder and say, look, you've got to stay on your train tracks today, darling.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
super important to pick a point, stay on that point, land, finish on that point, and then make the turn.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Would you think about, and I thought this yesterday, and I don't think looking at the time now of what time I'll be riding it, but the tree with the shadow, do you need to worry about that?
So when I'm at a 3-day, I try to walk the course on a previous day at the same time I might be riding it. You know, the time's not about, I try and gauge that so I have an idea of where all the shadows are going to be. I think this is still a very open fence. You're not jumping into woodland or anything like that, so I wouldn't worry. And it's early enough in the course that they're going to be nice and sharp and jumping well. That is more important, again, when they're getting tired, how that affects their jump.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I wouldn't be
Not
overly...
overthinking.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
If it's relevant, we'll pick up on it. But really good to be thinking about where shadows are. But I think here, you're absolutely fine.
Okay.
And then again, 1, 2 and 3, the super important thing is to be a reactive rider. You come out on a horse that loves to go cross country, but it's a bit in awe of everything else going on, everybody clapping.
Yeah.
And you come into this and just goes a little sticky.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure on landing you say, okay, come on, get in front of my leg.
Yeah.
Do your work on landing. Whatever you do on landing here, they take to the next fence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've just got to make sure you're not landing and go, oh God, yeah, that was scary. And then before you know it, they stop at fence 5, a plain log.
Yeah.
Because of how it's just been building.
Absolutely.
Yes. So super important to be a really good reactive rider in that situation.
Okay.
And then here very much straight away into a good gear. Okay, because you came out for quite a long time in what's just a bit more of a strong show jumping gear. If you stay in that here, you're now going to be down on your time.
Yeah.
So then you want to be into a really good cross country gear.
Okay.
Yeah. Important specifically for you, Emily, rather than everybody else, but actually would be relevant for some of mine, that even though I'm galloping here, I'm just having a flutter.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping a sponge, so I don't come into this and go gallop and then have a little adjustment for a distance and then I have the head up again.
Yeah.
So I'm
keeping
galloping,
that connection.
keeping the feel going in my fingers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool, very good. Cool, so again, really strict, and I was nice and reactive after fence 1. I still want to feel like they're pulling me all the way, but in your mind still supple. And then I pick the flowers.
Yeah.
Anything but those middle flowers is a failure to me. Okay. I think if you were really up the levels trying to get the time, you know, you could jump a little left of centre. I think for this level, middle. Yeah. The time's not that tight at 90.
Yeah.
You don't need to be really thinking of left of centre. So for you, it's picking the flowers, jump the flowers, finish on the landing line, and then make the nice turn. Okay. Anything other than the flowers is a failure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know what you're going to say for fence 3.
Oh, I'm excited. Good. And then again, reactive on the landing. Okay, very much so. Good.
Okay.
So super important. You've had a bit of a gallop on now to probably right back here, check they're supple.
Okay.
Okay, what you don't want is that they're so running on the hand that then you go, oh, bit of undulation, and they almost trip a little bit. Okay, you've got to, from back here, put them in a balance.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll be able to ride smooth to number 3.
Yeah.
So super early, because that number 3 is easy. It's the undulation beforehand. Yeah.
But you wouldn't go down any earlier?
I'm debating. I'm just looking at the moment.
Okay.
I've only just got here.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, I would, actually, yes. I think I would come off round here, put my balance in here. I don't want to go right down there because they're going to slip and slide.
Yeah.
It's too much of a camber to canter on.
Okay.
Okay. You'll feel her lose her balance too much. Up there is obviously the obvious, but then if you lose balance, it's too late to the wall to fix it. So I'd say right here towards, do you see that tree with the, come behind me, that tree there with the casing around it?
Yeah, where my dad is.
Where your dad is, yeah, so just gone past. To me, that's an obvious line to approach from the ground.
Yes, and I thought as well, that sand bank that's there is actually going to be moved and be over the track. So that's not going to be there.
No. So that's where when you talk about, is it a permanent object or a temporary object?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's a car, obviously it's a temporary object. That tree is hopefully a permanent object unless something dramatic happens with some lightning.
Yeah.
But,
I'm more thinking what she could spook at.
Oh, okay. No, but I'm talking about when you're picking a focal point.
Focal point,
It has to be a permanent object, not a temporary object.
Yeah.
So come back here, have a little look at that line against that tree, okay? I feel like you need to embrace that line. So that, do you see the tree I mean?
Yeah.
And then that gives you still a bit of undulation to deal with, but probably a good
flat.
3 strides on the flat.
Yeah. I know 4 is to the left, but I think you've got long enough to do it.
I was away on the
Yes.
right. Yes. Very good. So I'm aiming towards that tree. Do you see?
Yeah, I
do.
do.
So the super important things here are to put the suppleness in way before you come down the undulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you come down the undulation, she's already balanced. You're not fighting for balance. So then she's coming down almost like you're popping down a couple of steps down the undulation. So that when you get on the flat, then if she goes spooky, you can say, you're fine.
Yeah.
But if you come down there fighting and you get here, you've lost your balance. And then she goes, oh God, Mum, that's scary.
Yes.
Then you don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
So it's about coming down the undulation like it's a double of steps.
Yeah.
To then land at the bottom of the steps and put her back into the bridle. Yeah. And then don't underestimate this tiny little lip up to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you've got to ride up this bit of lip.
Yeah.
This little bit of undulation will take an inch of power away. So if you don't accommodate that and put your leg up it, you'll get up here with less canter than you started, and then an annoying stop could happen for some.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've got to balance before to then have balance down, keep the power, press up.
Press up. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Cool.
That is how when I walked it yesterday, thought in my head I wanted to.
I feel you're there, that you're not going to be on that line. Towards that tree.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes, towards that
Here.
tree is very much the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Are you actually you are going to stride this out?
No, I'm not striding at all.
Oh,
I just wanted to see where I land. Is that down or up in undulation?
Oh, okay.
And I'd say it's fairly on level. You're not going to suddenly have a drop away is what I mean. That's what I just wanted to check. No, wouldn't walk the striding here at all.
I was like, oh, I wouldn't.
Yeah. So for me, from what my eye is telling me, I probably want my whip in left hand.
Yeah.
Because everything with the camber, camber, the tree on the right. So I'm already thinking, okay, from coming out I'm going to have my influence from my left hand.
Yeah.
Cool. And the important thing here is to not turn too early from what I'm seeing. So I'm still heading towards this tree.
Yeah.
This focal point of this tree over here.
Yeah. It's like follow the leader at the minute, isn't it? But I want to.
And again, land, Emily. Put the suppleness in.
Yeah.
Not put the power in.
Okay.
Yeah, land, get a supple, because when she's supple, you can then ride forwards. When she's against you, you can't ride forwards, otherwise you have a run out.
Yeah.
So you've got to get a supple early on landing.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, cool, I've got a supple, now put the power back in, but into a nice mouth.
Yeah, and this undulation will work nicer when you're supple as well.
So that's why when you come up here, now you've got the mouth supple on landing, and then you can press her back into the mouth. And then here you have to anticipate they're going to be very deep.
Okay.
Because of what the undulation does again.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're coming, if this just came up to it, they'd probably take a nice big distance to it. Because they're then running back down, you have to then close with leg on, like we did with that skinny coming out of the water the other day. Do you remember? Leg back underneath you.
Yeah.
To then keep the balance with the leg back, not forwards. And anticipate they might just go boom, boom to the base and take off.
Okay.
Because of where the balance puts them. So your job there, you've got suppleness on landing, you've pressed up the mound into the hand, and then down here, you're keeping the balance up.
Balance up.
You're not letting the balance run down to run out to the side.
Yeah.
And they've been very kind with the Christmas trees. To me here, a run out wouldn't be a cheeky horse. A run out would be a loss of power and balance.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
because I think it's a nice profile of a fence. It's very obvious for them to read. Why does it look so big when you stand behind it? Why do they get away with that?
Because of the brush.
Think again. So where do they measure the height of the fence?
Isn't it somewhere like here?
Where would they measure the height of the fence from?
Oh, I don't know.
We've
You've asked me
discussed
this before, I know.
Where does the horse take off?
It's the...
Where does the horse take off? 2 yards away.
Yeah.
Now look how much higher we are here.
Yeah.
So then they measure it here. So it's probably actually 80 centimetres.
Here.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
it does.
that's how when you get here.
Sorry, threw me. That's giving me a question.
Probably 1.5 meters.
Yeah.
But you take off where it's 80.
Yeah.
So that's what looks a big imposing fence,
yeah.
but it's actually not. Does that make sense?
I think it looks a nice profile of like ascending.
Lovely profile, but you have to, as I said, supple after the wall, press into the hand, maintain the balance with your leg where?
Maintain
her balance, but with your leg where?
Forward.
Nope. Back underneath you, remember?
Back underneath you, sorry.
Yeah, don't let your legs swing so far forward down that mound that then she doesn't have any support from the leg.
Yeah, no,
you've got to keep your leg underneath you.
Yeah.
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 And don't give up. Whatever the distance, don't give up.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. This sets the tone of the rest of the round.
Okay.
Knowing that it's 80 on takeoff, but here it's bigger, she's going to land a bit dropped. Okay. It's going to feel a big fence on landing, because again, when I walk 2 yards away, I'm even, it's lower here than it was. You think where you are.
That's quite a big jump.
Exactly that, yes. So that's where you've got to think it will feel very different, from where you take off to where you land.
Yeah.
So once you've taken off, slightly slip the reins and get behind her.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, happy with that?
Yeah, I was actually just trying to, sorry, I was just opening the course because I just wanted to write some notes about that.
Yeah.
Fence 4.
Are you happy with that plan?
I am happy with that plan.
Good.
But that's something that, because it's so early on in course, isn't something I probably think about. Knowing what's coming up, my brain will probably be focused on stuff that's out there.
This is an important fence.
This is important.
Yes, definitely. Definitely an important fence. So you've got to ride it with that plan. Yeah.
So I'm just writing some comments onto the CrossCountry app. So keep straight, whip in left hand, suppleness on landing, power uphill, keep, oh, another comma, I need another comma. Keep leg behind me. Expect deep.
So every time we change surface on the course, even if there's not a jump involved, it needs a gear change. It's very much a hazard out on course, okay? So undulation is hazard, and then when you change surface, okay? So you've just got to think. You gallop down that hill really nice and brave, probably by this tree here, again, just a little shimmy, put the balance back, not so much that you waste loads of time, but enough that she just lightens the forehand. Yeah. It will be a real shame. I remember seeing someone at Hartbury once when they did a road crossing, going for the time and they slipped over.
Oh, really?
Okay, yes.
Does it just give them a little bit of preparation, like, oh, something's changed?
Something's changed, balance onto the hind leg again, come off the front legs. It would be such a shame to be going for the time and then slip and slide, and even if nothing drastic happens, you lose confidence.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
In the footing and in the balance, which you want to maintain coming up. So you've got to treat this like a little bit of a jump. Okay. Okay, have a little balance coming over it. And once they're sort of on it, you can then press them back on again. Yeah. Okay, so it's only really the entrance to it. Then they sort of acclimatise themselves to the new surface, and then off we go again. Okay. Okay. Very, very good. And then we'll take this to number 5. Fairly small log, but not to be taken for granted.
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
that. I think where it's narrow is a good thing, because it will make you ride properly. Yeah. If it was just a nice wide tiny log, you could see some scrappy riding over it. But again, I want you to think you're jumping the flowers. Yeah. Anything other than the flowers is a failure. Yes. And very much treat this, fence 4 was a challenge. If you had a bad jump over it, you've got to put some confidence back in over this. Okay. So this jump needs some good riding. Okay. Not you've lost confidence over there and you're trying to get the time and you ride a scrappy jump here and you miss and it all goes horribly. And then you've got a tricky question coming up. So if you have a bad jump at fence 4 or a tricky jump, you've got to think, okay, to ride this really well. Okay. I'm not going to get away with some average riding here. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then afterwards, land and really press up that hill, because if you start to lose a bit of tempo here, you're going to get to the top and already have no canter left. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So super important to land and really start getting them to the bridle here. Okay. So super important, you really had to gallop up that hill, okay, because you don't want to be thinking about this too early, A, from a time perspective, and B, because if you take the power away up there, she's going to get to the top and have nothing, okay? So I want you to think you're going to hug the string up here, okay? It would be a shame to turn too early and then have to do too much at the end. Okay, so super important to go nice and wide. Here, just before the sign, that's hopefully going to be a permanent object for us that we can put in. Just before, you're going to do a little shimmy. Okay, so you're going to put the balance in early. Yeah. And then once you get to the sign, you're going to set the gear, you're going to jump the jump in.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be brave to not expand out of it.
Okay.
Because we want to have a nice small arc over this. The last thing you want is to change your plan, suddenly send her in, and then you land completely out of balance, and then you're fighting for control.
Yeah.
You've got to be brave. You've jumped so many things like this that you're going to come around super wide. If anything, you'd rather turn too late than too early to almost give yourself more space on the landing.
Ah, fair.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
that
more
does.
options. So here you've set the canter, you've got the connection, you're going to be brave to let the distance come to you.
Okay.
Directly you change your plan, go to the distance, you're going to land completely out of control. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to want your fold here to feel nice and slow.
Yeah.
Okay. If anything, you want to feel like there's a big drop on landing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hands nice and low. Yeah. Let the jump just happen. This is very much a setup fence, but if you jump it like a chase fence, you're very much going to be in trouble. Okay. Cool. So when you first walked this, were you planning on the right or left route?
Left.
Left route. Okay, so let's walk that one to start with. Cool. So you've come over this, you've landed. If you did change the plan, which I really hope you don't,
Yeah.
and you see a brave one, immediately you've got to react and bounce her back, not pull her back, because if you pull her back, what's going to happen?
We get really hollow jump and
Your
the head
head's
goes
going
up.
to come up on the landing,
Yeah.
so you're going to shimmy her back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then through this bit of undulation, you've just got to stay patient.
Yes.
Okay, you just got to let the undulation happen underneath you. You've
Okay.
set an appropriate canter. You're losing time. Let yourself lose time.
Okay. This is an acceptable time to do that.
Exactly that. Through here, all you're doing is maintaining gear.
Yeah.
Okay. Last thing you want is to be going quick, slow, quick. So it's up to you with your legs and hands, like when we practice that little exercise in the light seat, going rock back, just to keep the canter nice and maintained in the size.
Yeah.
And then I'm very much just on this line here. I think this feels natural. Okay. So I'm heading almost a little bit like I'm jumping it as a corner.
Yes.
So you
and
imagine
we're aiming for that.
You
jump
imagine
that's
this
there.
this here was split in half.
Yeah.
And that's my straight line.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I'm jumping this like a corner towards that practice fence,
Yes.
or just left of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually think this is fine.
Okay.
This is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. The challenge here is to not over jump A, have enough leg on that if they're looking at anything, they're not going to stop, but enough patience that you don't over jump.
Yeah.
Land, shimmy them back, and patient through the undulation.
Patience.
Patient. There's
I feel like
so
I just need to write a
much-
comment of patience on
Yeah,
that.
there's just
on
so
the
much
CrossCountry app.
undulation here. We don't need to think, okay, on that bit I do this. All you've got to do is maintain and ride and
Yeah.
stay off her back. Yes.
Yeah.
You come around here, and it's a fairly small fence, I would say. So you can be short or long. It's about just keeping the connection, riding patiently, letting the stride come to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And not be in a hurry about thinking you're turning left afterwards.
Yes.
I think this is a really cool question.
Okay.
In good, patient riding, not nervous, flappy riding. This is going to go wrong when people flap and
Yeah,
chase
I'm trying.
and change their plan rather than going, there's my line, here's the connection, pop the fence.
Yeah. So would you then go for the right hand side if something went drastically wrong, because it gives you way more time that you can come out wide to this
To
string?
be honest, I think as long as your eye is on that, you've got so much time to get
You
the
think
balance
that
back.
anyway?
Because this little bit of uphill here is going to slow you down a bit
Okay,
anyway.
yep.
So I think the only reason you would go for that line, because it's so much time because you're coming more uphill to it,
Yeah.
and you've got to turn off the fence, is if you know your horse runs left and is going
Okay.
to run out left.
Yeah.
Or that you've had a problem at that and you want to come off a different way.
Okay.
I think that is your option.
Okay.
Okay. You know, coming around here, you've almost got to fight them so much and then surprise them with it.
Yeah.
I think the other one is so obvious for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agree.
that
Yeah,
To me,
no, I
it's
agree.
it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Happy with that one?
Yeah, I am happy with that.
Very good. So obviously we've done the undulation back here, but actually this is still a little bit unique in
It is.
itself. It would be a shame just to have a little bit of a trip and a slip here, and then you come into this lacking balance and coordination, which for an 100 is a small fence, for a 90 is a big fence.
Okay.
Yes, I would say.
I
That's
like
why.
the ground line of this one.
Yes, totally. But don't be surprised, you know, that they see white so well.
Yes.
That I might be then drawn to the bottom.
Okay.
Okay. So which will make them throw a good jump. They won't flatten over it. That's why they're painting it white. But they could just be a little spooky at it. And if you were speaking about the sun earlier at fence one,
Yes.
this would be perhaps more relevant. because if the sun is really glaring on that white bit there, it's going to look very spooky. Okay. Don't be surprised. This is meant to be a let-up fence, but I would say in the 90 more so than the 100, this is a challenge on its own.
Okay.
Okay, because Addie, as we said the other day, is brilliant but still green. She might surprise you. So she goes, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
Yes, whereas if that was
Absolutely.
an orange front, I don't think they would look so much.
Yes.
But with it being white, it will make them, and I'd expect a big jump.
Okay.
Okay, whereas normally they give you a bit of a flat jump.
incoming.
Yes, so exactly that. So just be ready. That I think that will draw them a bit off it, and they might throw a big jump. So be ready to slip the reins, because you're just landing a bit on a different undulation again.
Yes.
Coming in there, so slip the reins, and be ready for any distance. Okay, because you could just jump quite high there.
Okay.
Cool.
Noted. They've really utilised all the ground here, haven't they?
In such a brilliant way.
Yeah.
I mean, God, how amazing. You know, you've learned over there how she dealt with that undulation.
Yep.
So if you balanced her and you felt she still was a bit scrappy, well, then you need to balance her more here. If you balanced her and she felt lovely through that undulation, well, then you do exactly the same here.
Don't change anything.
No, exactly. Whatever balance you put her in over there, if it worked, do the same.
Yeah.
If it didn't, you need to just work a bit harder. Okay. Here, you've got to almost, so you put the balance in, let her run a little down this.
Okay.
Don't have so much control that when you come up, you've got nothing.
Okay.
Okay, so a little bit like when you see them jump the leaf pit at Burley.
Yeah.
Yes, they have to almost let them run down to then let them run up. So you put the balance in, then let her take you down to let it take you back up again, like a roller coaster.
Like natural.
Yes, does that make sense?
Yes.
If you're fighting for so much control down, you'll then get down there and have nothing, and then have to really create coming up. Okay, let the down do the work for the up.
Yeah.
And then when you come up, just stay behind and be ready for any distance. You said about shadows, maybe here might make a little bit of a difference. And when you come up, she's like, just do one extra stride, then take off.
Okay.
So just be ready for that with the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a nice looking fence.
Nice profile of a fence, great ground rail. I would say not too big for the level.
Yeah.
But it's just, you've got to let them run down to let them run up.
Okay. Nice.
Cool, very good. It was funny as we were walking up to this, you pointed out about this funny little bit of soil.
Which looks like nothing.
Yes.
I just know what Addie's like, and like at Lark Hill, she jumped this tyre track, and I was like, oh, okay, we've got an extra jumping course.
Yeah, totally. Horses see things totally different to us. How does she not know that that's a ditch or something else? So with that in mind, you've just got to hug it, okay? And come in here and think you've then still got probably at least 3 straight strides once you've closed the shoulder.
Yeah.
I would treat this as more of a nice let-up fence, okay?
Okay.
Compared to, say, the chase fence, I think this one will give you a really nice feel, okay? Again, little bit of a rise to it.
Yeah.
So make sure you come around, you've got a really in the hand, and you do press to it. I would treat this in profile as a triple bar.
Okay.
Okay, so
I get that.
here's your low rail, here's your middle rail, here's your top rail. Okay, so it is a triple bar in thought process. So when you're coming into a triple bar, you want to slightly lengthen the reins, exactly that, and keep coming almost all the way to the rail. Okay, don't try and see a distance to this, you want to see a distance to this. Okay, the highest point of a horse's arc over a triple bar is where?
In the middle.
Nope.
Oh, no.
Over a triple bar show jumping, the highest point of a horse's arc over the fence is where? In a good jump.
Oh, at the back.
At the back.
Sorry, yeah.
How many yards away does a horse take off?
2.
2. That brings us to here. So in a perfect world, you want to be nice and positive, but to this, you want to see you're 2 yards away to the back, not to the front. Because if you see it to the front, you're 2 yards away, puts you here, and now you're 4 yards away from where you want the highest point to be.
Okay.
So if you want to come around positive, but you're seeing a pattern all the way to that, which will put you here, not looking at this, because that'll put you back there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
So that's what you want to think.
I feel like I should have known that.
That's fine. Well, next time I ask you, you will know. Okay, so really important just to stay on that fence line out there for long enough, okay? And then maybe where that gap is, just think about turning off there. Most important thing to start with is that you turn her off the left leg, left rein, because if you pull with that right, it's going to keep going through the shoulder, and it won't mean you have a run out of this, but you'll have a bit of an awkward jump. Okay. So you've got to think of riding it here, then left leg, left rein. Yeah. Keeping that left leg, left rein over to push you out a little bit. Okay. You don't want to come here and keep falling left over this, land out of balance, and then have to find your line.
Yeah. Yes. And it's on a downhill as well, so that's going to already put you on a bit.
This one here, you do want enough canter to. Okay. You know, imagine if it wasn't skinny, it was wide, it is a good enough jump. Okay. So you want to come around, don't take away all the size. Okay. You want to have a good jump over this, as opposed to that little roll top at fence 6 that you could pop over. This one you still want to be a slightly bit more upper gear to. Okay. Okay. Otherwise you'll get to the base and have to really work hard. Yeah. Okay. So super important to have a little bit more canter, and you've got more on the flat than over there at fence 6.
Yes.
That's why you can have a different canter for it. So positive enough off the turn, but turn the outside shoulder, don't pull the inside rein. Landing, eyes on B, just get your eye on B, okay? And then down here, this is identical to what we did the other day, okay? The boat on the mound to the skinny at the bottom. Okay,
yep.
and the most
And you
important...
were actually meaner then.
I was meaner then, yes, totally.
It was closer.
So the most important thing here is about keeping the feel in the hand, keeping your legs back so they're in the right place to give her confidence. Don't let your leg go so far forward that you get there and when she needs you, you're not there.
Yeah.
Leg back, keeping the balance, and just keep getting her into the hand, okay? You've got loads on the flat here to deal with it, okay? Yeah. Purposely haven't walked the distance. You've got miles away from it all.
Yeah, so not worry about striding
Not
on that
worry
one.
about striding at all for me there.
Okay.
Just coming down, protecting the balance, leg back underneath you, and then here dealing with what you've got. I think land, finish the jump, then turn and go.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, there's a bit of a drop on landing, but I wouldn't say it's so steep.
I hadn't even noticed that yesterday when I walked this.
Okay, but you're 2 yards away where she'll land is on the flat.
Yeah.
And then it runs down, so you will land fine, but then be ready to slip the reins.
You should be as well shouldered. Well, I should be the whole way.
A nice
shoulders.
slow in the fold.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's about keeping enough canter to A. A is bigger than B.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to get over A confidently.
Yeah.
And you've got a bit on the flat to then get the balance back, so you don't need to pop it so much. And then when you land, it's all about then just keeping the balance. Leg back underneath you, keep a bit of a feel, okay?
It looks a lot steeper when you look up at it like that. It actually
Yeah, not compared to Bicton.
Okay.
Yeah, Bicton's a lot steeper than that,
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we've
right.
got hills aplenty around us, remember that.
Yeah.
Cool, happy with this one?
Yep.
Yeah, looks
Yep.
great. I think this is a fine question.
This is lovely now because you can walk up here and you've just got the house in front of you for
can just
ages.
gallop
You've got
forward
to
and yes.
embrace it.
So you've got to get to this point at least.
Yes.
Okay, good. So something you are very well practiced at, because we ride at Bicton very regularly.
And Launceston.
And Launceston, but I'm talking about the hilliness.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say hay carts.
No. The most important thing here is obviously beautiful gallop up towards the house, but it is a real gallop. So as we would say at Bicton, when you get to the top of the hill, you just got to give them a chance
To breathe.
to refill the lungs before then pressing on again. If you gallop up there and then keep galloping around to this, you'll get to that one over there and the next combination of no adjustability left because she's just a bit gasping for air.
Yes.
So you've got to really press up the hill there, have a breather, like we just did.
Yeah.
And then come to this fence nice and strong around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Really nice ground rail with the hay here. As you said, we're well practiced at hay carts down in Devon. And Cornwall. But super important here to jump this really straight. Because of what's coming up in a minute, you want to be nice and accurate to this. If you're allowing yourself to drift over this, run out at the next fence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so over this fence here, it's super important to be very specific about your takeoff point and specific about your landing point.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't mean in stride, I mean in line.
In line. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've galloped up the hill. When you get to the top, let her refill her lungs, then put the power in through the turn. Very disciplined on the line to prepare you for the next combination. If you're sloppy here, you'll have a run out at the next
one. Yeah,
no
absolutely.
sloppy riding.
No sloppy riding.
Good girl, well done.
I wish we had just shown, sorry to jump in there because I know you're going to go straight in, but it's actually interesting seeing you looking back, walking like all of the different angles and lines that we could approach
I just
this
wanted
or
to have a little look at this before we talk about it on the camera, because there are always so many options here. It's always a fence they have at Badminton Grassroots and always gets everyone's head scratching a lot. Mostly about you can approach it in so many different ways and you've got so many options. So let's discuss the most direct route to start with.
Okay.
So that would be coming around this alternative here, very much hugging it and coming to this corner here. So for me, I'd be jumping this, yes, coming around there, but aiming, if anything, towards the right flag of B. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're not on the line, so come onto the
I've
line.
veered off that way,
but
haven't I?
then when you're on the line, draw your eyesight to the red flag of B. So you're not totally getting onto the line of B, the red flag, but once you're on the line, then drawing, so you're already turning them away from the run out.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so here you're saying we're going to the red flag.
I see.
So then, in order to do that line, you're going to need quite a good canter because we're jumping it as a bit of a wider table.
Yeah.
Rather than jumping it as a little corner.
Okay.
So I'd be coming around in quite a big, brave canter and trust that my horse is going to stay on that line, and then here saying go towards the red flag.
Okay.
Okay, very much go towards the red flag. And then once I've landed, then except a bit of an angle at B.
Ah,
Yes,
interesting.
I
Okay.
wouldn't be turning and wiggling around. I'd be very. This is my first option.
Yep.
Okay, we will discuss other options.
Yeah, I'm
so
just
I've
going to write
landed
this into
towards
my
the red
app a
flag
minute.
here, and then I'm going to aim towards the middle of B, but on an angle.
Going back to my CrossCountry app, I utilised all the benefits of the Pro subscription. I added in my comments, strides, and also could see we would be at minute 3 at this stage of the call.
On a perfect 4 stride, so it's clearly designed to be jumped that way.
Yeah.
You know, when I walk a straight line, if a distance doesn't come up right, it makes me think that's not how the course designer wanted it to be
I
jumped.
can remember you saying that.
Yes, so to me that walked a lovely 4, so I'm like, okay, that's sort of how the course designer wanted it to be jumped.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not being rude.
No,
I'm just
not at all.
writing this
Popping it
in
on the CrossCountry
yeah,
app.
whilst you're saying it.
Yeah. So to me, around there in a brave canter, similar canter to the hay cart, because this is just as wide if you're going to jump it a little bit more towards this point, towards the red of B.
Yeah.
So you're jumping it from almost left to right over this to then aim to the middle of that and just keep the balance and the connection.
Yeah.
Again, most important thing after this, land and move to then finish with waiting.
Yes.
Not land and wait for control, finish with flapping and run out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so you land and you go
React.
to then at the end, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, to me that feels very obvious to the horse. Let's now discuss our other options. So you could come around the tree and you could wiggle around and jump this here, but to me that's confusing to the horse. I think if you're doing the direct route, you've got to go around there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, I think coming in there doesn't work. The alternative line, obviously, so you come on this line here. If I was doing the alternative line and wanted to really save time, I'd be coming out to this tree here, jumping this a little bit on an angle, still with enough canter to get over, land, quickly shimmy them back, turn right. So I'm probably going to land so I've done a whole stride out to here, shimmying, so I've probably got to then work on the balance for another 2 strides to then turn right around here, go and pop B, and I want to, if I still want to get the time, pop B super quiet so I can do a really quick nifty turn to the right.
Afterwards. Yeah.
Yes, and then that just takes me on and I can gallop off.
Yeah.
Okay, I do think for the 90 you wouldn't waste loads of time because the time is achievable. Okay. But are you happy with the direct route?
What do you think for me for the direct route?
I think you're very capable of doing it.
Yeah.
I think it is more obvious than it's been in the past for the horses.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes that tree has been more at the point.
Completely
And
agree.
then that makes it a whole different question.
Yeah.
But I think where they've put the tree, you can actually then jump the point.
Yeah.
And then it's almost just like an oxer on an angle rather than a corner.
Yeah.
And then you're turning to the red flag of B.
Yeah.
Whereas that tree has often been there,
Yes.
which makes it harder.
Yeah. And then you've only got the much smaller part to
Exactly.
Really silly question.
Not at all.
Could you jump this A, turn around, and then jump that B? Can you do the option of either
You
B?
couldn't do that because you'd be crossing your entrance line,
Okay.
okay, if you did that. The way you could do a funnier route to A and B, I remember doing a course walk several years ago and the brilliant Scottish girls on the Cobs who started the Cobs Can thing, they asked me if they could do this funny route, which we will show you now. And I said, I don't know, but good luck if you want to. And they did, and it's on Instagram if you want to go and look at it. They very much jumped the table here, landed, and like a little gymkhana pony, turned through this gap,
Oh, wow.
turned through this gap here, and then turned here to B and jumped this straight.
Interesting.
You've got to know that on landing, your horse is with you.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant Cobs. God, they made it look like that was how it was designed to be jumped.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then that's
Fair
very
play.
in front of you, you know. So that is a line to be made. You couldn't jump it and come through here. This would be 2 blinds. You'd have to get through
Before
this gap here.
wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, another way you could jump that is you could jump this one.
You're going to say through here, aren't you? Surely that's a very fine line.
A little bit through there you could, but that would be dicing it.
Yeah.
You'd have to, if anything, jump this right here and then try and get through that little
yeah,
gap.
absolutely.
Happy with this line, Em?
I am happy.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Brave riding here from you.
Okay. Not
Okay,
lazy
yeah.
on the one before and then brave on the next. Noted.
So probably the smallest fence on course so far. Most important thing, don't turn too early and try and do it on an angle and have a really awkward jump. just get out to the string, turn her off the outside leg, outside rein, and aim towards that and have a nice careful jump over it, land and gallop away. It's just a speed bump, but every speed bump needs a nice square turn beforehand.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Nice fence for you.
Oh, I like it. Nice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Punchy.
Whee.
So nice little careful jump there, and then obviously a very different profile of a jump. So that one nice and careful, almost like an upright show jumping. This again is a little bit more like a triple bar.
Okay.
Okay, so then you can come around, make sure she's in balance, but keep her coming to the bridle. Okay, give yourself options of stride by giving yourself a big enough canter.
Okay.
Okay, in that bigger canter you can go, oh, let's rock back, or you can say, oh, actually I've seen one.
Let's go. Yeah.
And then this will give you a great feel.
So
really,
we've gone from
really
the
lovely.
smallest one on course,
Probably to
the
the
biggest.
bigger one. Yes, totally. But a really good canter gives you options.
Yes.
And then what I'd be saying to myself into a nice big plain fence is I'm coming in going, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull. That's what I say to myself, okay, personally.
Yeah.
Because I want to either keep the canter that I know is good and see a pattern out of it, or towards the end go, I need to add one.
Okay.
If I start taking away before I've even seen something, I'll have to add again or chase again.
Yeah.
So I set my canter and I'm coming in the light seat and I go, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull. Seeing a good one, don't have to do anything. Or don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull. Cool, now sit her up, I've seen one more.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I just try and drill into myself.
Yeah.
Because it's easy when you've got that long run up to go, I haven't seen it, gonna take it away. Oh God, now got to chase. And then it's ugly. So don't pull, don't pull, don't pull.
And this one actually should jump really, really
jump
lovely.
really nice, yes. And if in doubt, have your piggy French grip.
Okay.
Open your grip and just let her take the rein from you.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep. Nice.
So really cool fence. A bit of a funny optical illusion. My gut feeling is definitely coming in saying you line up A and B. You don't get straight with A and try and haul back to B. I think you'll just ride B too messy.
Okay.
I think where it's kind is the front is angling that way, which is the way you'd want to run out. So I think that keeps you in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Whereas if the front was angling that way and the back the other way, I think it encourages a run out more.
Right.
So I'd say that's kinder rather than harder. Jumping slightly left of centre, but really all I'm coming around and lining up is the barrel. Okay, so if you just get behind, I'm looking at the barrel. And also by coming left of centre, it makes the brush more ascending.
Yes.
Yes. Rather than front being
Agreed.
higher than the back.
Totally
okay.
agree.
So I'm very much coming out,
Left of centre
ascending,
is what we
left,
said yesterday.
looking good. Well done. We're learning. Onto the barrel. Now let's just walk the distance. One stride.
I'm sure it's 4, but no,
Two
I'm not
strides. 3 strides. 4 strides. Yes. Cool. Very brave 4. You'll see a lot go on 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually want you to know it's 4, but forget it's 4.
Okay.
Okay, I know that sounds a bit mean, but I think at this level, you know, with just
this
being
one is sponsored by the CrossCountry
the
app.
best app there is out there, brilliant.
Yes.
This level, you know, the most important thing is to get over A. It's a big enough jump, ride a pot over that, land forward.
Yeah.
So that then you land and you ride. And you're riding and you either see, oh yeah, it's 4, or you go, oh no, it's 5, but at least I put the power in.
Yeah.
Rather than land and wait and then go, oh God, now we're waiting on 5, now we've got to flatten out and then risk a run out. So you land and you ride like you want the forward distance.
Okay.
And you'll get here and you'll see the forward distance is working. Or you'll get here and go, oh no, that's not going to work. Wiggle her back, but at least you've done it from power.
Yeah.
So it's left of centre, aiming towards the barrel, land and really put the power in. So I think we've just had that tricky fence at the corner. You've got to make sure, knowing this is coming up, that if she ended up putting in 4.5 and went a little sticky, you've got to land and ride her away from it to get the confidence back in.
For this,
Then early enough, got to shimmy the balance back because she's going to go, oh my God, that's a lot to look at. Okay, so it's really important to just get the balance early so she can assess it all to then get her back into the bridle because she's going to need to be brave for the next 3 questions coming up. So here, knowing that there's water on landing and she will be looking as brave as she is, she's probably going to take that little short stride like they do when there's a hazard on the landing. So your body is ready, but your legs are saying, don't slow down the hind legs to that short stride.
I know, and I always say that Addie's really good with water, but I think it's actually everything else that's around it.
Totally.
It's completely different.
As good as she is, she's still green.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and even a non-green horse goes, this is unusual.
Yeah.
Yes. On landing, ready for anything.
Yeah.
Because even a brave horse will land here and go, oh, that looks nice over there on that grassy ground. So you've got to think land because you need to get her in the water to have a really good line to be.
Yeah.
So keeping the connection, be ready for her to leap in, step in, whatever she's going to do. Your body is ready for anything. And go super wide because it will give you plenty of time to get a really good long run up to B where I want her to assess early. So you've got to get right out to the string.
Yep.
The earlier you turn, the less strides she has to assess the question.
Okay.
The later you turn, the more time she'll have to go, I see it.
Yeah.
And then you can start to read her body language about whether she's going, oh God, that's quite big, or whether she's going, let me at it.
Yeah.
Yes. So got to get onto the line super early. And then here it's about being super brave, okay? You've got to get up the lip, deal with what stride you've got and just get out over, okay? I know that the next question is hard, but you've got to deal with this one first, okay? Slightly lengthen the reins, so she's got a lot of neck to go short or long. Get behind her. On we go, Addie. We're fine. Come on, come on, come on. All the way until she takes off.
Okay.
Directly she's taken off, draw your eye to 17.
Okay.
Okay, because as we know from, I had a little wander around this a second ago, the earlier you turn to 17, the easier 17 is, but you've got to get out over this before you think about 17.
Yeah.
This stop will happen at this for people because they're thinking about the tricky one afterwards.
Yeah.
You've got to get over this one, okay?
So that's not a small jump coming
It's
up
not
the lip.
a small jump up a lip.
And water.
Totally, so she's going to land probably here.
Yeah.
As we said, the earlier you can start to make the turn, the better. Anticipating that she might be one stride on until you've made it, land, and then here is your line. Whatever line you end up on is the line you have to keep the connection onto.
Yeah.
You don't want to be wobbling, trying to find a new line and taking her eye off of the jump, okay? So very much, this is the line I've ended up on, so I'm going to ride this connection here. Still, then less of an angle than you're going to have to take at the corner before.
Okay.
In a perfect world, we'd all love to be on the line here towards that Lemure sign, towards the house. But that would mean you have to really turn really early and wobble back off the fence line, okay? So if she goes a little bit high and spooky on you, think, cool, wasn't great, but actually use that to my advantage, quickly turn, be nice and nimble and get there.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh God, that wasn't pretty, go down the hill and go, oh, why didn't I use that to my advantage?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So early to look, as early as you can to turn, but brave over B. Yep. Cool, good jumping efforts. So I think my first gut feeling is to jump the left side. I just think
interesting, because I thought that too yesterday.
Good. What was your reasons why?
I don't know why, to be fair. I just thought it looked nice, and when I came round, it just...
I think to me, yeah, in order to jump the right side...
It's quite a sharp turn there, isn't it?
Exactly, it just lets you smooth off the turn and come around and jump the left. You're in the 90.
And the 90's on the left.
Yes, exactly. It's showing you where it is. The only time I would jump the right is if we're on a much muddier year and you're the 90 and you're sharing this jump with the 100 and everyone's taking the left, I'd pick the right.
Yeah.
But you're on such good ground, it's not going to make a difference.
No.
So I think everyone will go left because you're turning left afterwards. It makes that smoother and you've got a nice right turn in. Yeah. Look at those lovely Lemure saddle pads, don't they look cool? This will give you a lovely feel. It is very much a let-up fence. And
smile, because you're in front of the house.
A photo fence, exactly that. We're going to have Pete out here probably, taking a nice little sexy reel of you going over this one. Looking brilliant, Em. Very good.
I bet I won't remember to smile.
Poker face. Yeah. So this one here is very much a let-up fence. It is quite a small fence, okay? So it just needs respect. You know, they're coming uphill. They might be a little bit tired by now.
Yeah.
So most important thing, once you've come over this, land, give them a bit of a shock and make sure they're still listening. If your horse really isn't listening, that's when you have got to back off and stop going for the time. Okay. You've just got to think, okay, I've got to coax them home now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to have a little look quickly on the CrossCountry app to see what sort of time we would be at. So the optimum time is 6:22.
Yes.
And we are at fence 19. So we should be at about 5.5 minutes, 5:26.
Okay, so you've got less than a minute after this. Yeah. So you just got to make sure, you know, it is a bit of a pull up when you go this way around the course. So once you've come over this land, make sure she's still, you know, give her a little tap on the bottom or a little nudge with your legs and make sure you're still getting a good response. You can go, oh yes, Addie, we're still going for the time. If not, you go, okay, right, I've just got to coax her home and accept some time.
Yeah, because this is all still uphill now as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Just give it respect because it is fairly small.
Okay.
Yes, you know, it would be a shame just to have a silly trip. Don't know what the shadow's going to be doing in here. We spoke about that earlier. Now you are in a wooded area.
And it's coming closed in, isn't it?
Totally. So yeah, just respect it. Don't be careless. Cool, so we've come on up the long hill, you've got to the top, make sure again you give it a little bit of a breather, not so much that you're losing time, yes, because you will be wanting to get the time at this point, but enough that she refills the lungs, comes around to this. Now it's really kind, they've put your fence up along the fence line,
Yep.
which just means all you have to do is hold the left side of her.
And you've got that one that sort of keeps you in there as well,
Totally
doesn't
there,
it?
puts you on a really good line. With this being an upright white rails, you really want to make sure, especially towards the end, of course, you finish the jump.
Okay.
You don't think so much about B that you slightly skew whiff over and she leaves a leg.
Yes.
Okay, and just
Being
not
a little
so
bit
much that she's
tired.
going to fall, but enough that could unbalance you.
Okay.
Okay, by just jumping a little like this, you've got to really think, jump it nice and straight, landing and taking off and landing on the same plane.
Yeah.
Finish the jump nice and straight and be patient for the turn, because again, upright gait, you want to jump it square and straight. You're turning a little early for me. Yeah, a little more
Sorry,
here.
I'm trying to walk next to you, to be fair.
That's fine. No. We can be friends later. It's just important to keep her really nice and straight and upright.
Yeah.
You've put the balance nice and with you on the landing. You've set the canter size, stay in it.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh, I've seen a brave one come to it. If she takes off on that, let her take up from you, not you push her to it and flatten her.
Flatten her. Yeah, absolutely.
So you keep the connection. Either she goes, whoop, nice big one, or boom, she comes up nice and
Yes.
short, but you don't come around and change the canter size as you come off the turn.
Okay.
The canter that is appropriate for A will be the canter that's appropriate for B. You have to stay in it.
Okay.
That's why it's a big speed bump at the end of the course.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
You can't suddenly waste time here because you risk a little unbalanced moment. Okay.
Okay.
They're on a safety device. At national classes, which yours still is, you wouldn't get penalties for activating
Okay.
it. It is there purely for your safety.
Safety.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you activate it, you've done a bad job.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
No activating.
No activating.
Tomorrow.
Good. So here we are at the final two fences in your course, Emily. How exciting, you've got to the end. As much as you're about to get the time, they still need jumping. Yeah.
course.
So super important. Again, shadows coming into the second last there, the penultimate fence. Make sure you've got a nice and straight, and as much as you want to put a right turn in, finish the jump, then turn
Then
right.
turn.
Okay. They've put this turn in, and actually to me, it keeps you safe.
Okay.
If you had two fences on a total straight line, it would encourage you just to hurdle them.
Yeah.
So by just having to put this turn, that will slow you enough.
Yeah,
So you
okay.
don't need to overly think steady up for the last. That turn does the job for you. By
Okay.
just coming in and squaring up to it, you will have a good jump.
Okay.
That's good course designing.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
because log to this would have just encouraged galloping.
Galloping.
Yes.
If you're a few seconds behind and you want to
Exactly
get,
that.
yeah,
By having to
absolutely.
put in that turn, you'll have a nice clean jump. Again, it being narrow encourages you to ride her nice and straight and connected.
Yeah.
Land and move between the finish. Yes, or wait, depending
wait.
on how you're doing time-wise. We know how speedy little Miss Addie can be. So yeah, go through the finish lines, and then it is Prosecco, champagne, whatever you need afterwards. Maybe a nice cider from Cornwall.
Yeah. A rattler.
Very, very good. So to sum up the course, I think all about the undulation out there.
Absolutely.
He's been so smart, the course designer, with, you know, Badminton isn't an immensely hilly track compared to, say, Bicton,
Yep.
but every single fence has got a bit of undulation to it. So it's about you being patient, letting Addie, you put her in the right gear, letting her navigate the undulation for you. And then it's about being super reactive out there, okay? You know, as brilliant as she is, she might go green on you around certain parts of the course, and it's up to you as a rider to quickly put the confidence in, or think actually she's reacting to this undulation, she's losing a lot of balance, I've got to work a bit harder at the next bit of undulation to not risk a silly little run out there.
Yep.
And then with undulation and with some bigger fences, body position. Nice and strong in the core. You might not know whether she's going to go short or long at, say, coming out of the water. Or the fence rolling down the hill before you come up the gallop towards the house, okay?
Yeah.
You've got to just be ready for anything with the body, keep your leg underneath you, and give her the confidence where she needs. But I think you and her are set to smash this course. I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant, Emily, and I'm excited.
I am. I'm really excited to get out there and
Yeah.
give it a go.
Absolutely nail it.
Challenge accepted, and let's go
Yes.
and ride it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, thank you very much. Always have and always will love course walks with you.
No, I love
so
giving them.
informative, and I hope that you guys at home have very much enjoyed it as well. Hope you've learned some tips and tricks that you can take into your next cross-country round. And of course, don't forget to head on over to the CrossCountry app and get it downloaded. You can get a discount on their pro subscription by using my discount code that I will pop here on screen for you. But now it's time just to go have a good night's sleep and come out raring to go over this course
Get it
tomorrow.
done,
Get it
Emily.
done. Let's do
Yes.
this. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for watching and for working with the CrossCountry app, and thank you
My pleasure.
for your fantastic coursework. Thank
My
you and your
pleasure.
support.
And my final thing I want to say is I can't wait to see all of you guys. You're watching it on the YouTube channel. Put it into practice, and I can't wait to see all of you here next year or the following year.
Yay.
So keep staying inspired, following these brilliant girls. You know, they're really showing us how it's done. So keep watching them and keep being inspired yourselves. I can't wait to see you all riding brilliantly.
Oh, that's lovely. See you all soon. Cheers. Bye.